No, it's public. I'll send you the link. I'll post it here.
Yeah, post it. Yes, please. Thank you.
Yeah, so just bear with us, and yeah, we're just gonna have to have a chat until then. I'm afraid, guys. See what happens here. I've sent Joe a couple of emails as well, but
Open
no
the chat to
response
see if you have any messages.
at the moment.
Hi, Angela. Angela Ford. Hello.
I can't. Now I'm off. Who is that?
It's Jimmy James from upstate New York.
How you doing, sweetheart?
Good, good. Exciting day today.
Okay, I'm gonna bug out and come back in. I lost my picture. Ugh. Oh, here I am. Hi, how are you?
Good. My wife's here.
Hey, Angela. I met her before. How were you doing?
Good.
Gonna be a good day, Angela.
Yeah, I hope so.
Maybe you want to tell that story about when you guys were in Russia, about how you and Joe and Dr. May saw that funny piece of art.
You know what? Joe wasn't with us in Russia.
He didn't go?
He was invited, but he wasn't feeling well. So
Oh, okay.
he did not go. But he was he waited for us. He drove to my house after the Russia trip, and him and Ed, they stayed here a couple of days.
Yeah.
He couldn't make the trip because of his back.
Now, did you see that piece of art I heard so much about in Russia? The one in the river.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yes, yes.
Yeah. Dr. May was laughing hysterical telling me that story.
Why was he? Yeah, I forget. Well, why was he laughing about it?
He said it was the ugliest piece of art he's ever seen in his life.
That's right. We did see it. It is ugly. That's right. Yeah, but you know, Joe's been to Russia with Ed before. Joe has been to Russia before with Ed.
Right. He told me that.
But he didn't go on the trip that they had that, conference for us. So Ed and I went.
Right. Yeah.
So what's the significance of the artwork in relationship to RV? What was it?
Nothing. It was just an ugly statue that stood near the river, and it was just nothing at all.
Oh, okay. Good to see you, Angela.
Nice to see you.
This is such a wide spectrum of people here. It's great. People from all over the world. This is very special, Daz. Thank you for doing this.
Is Mike Austin, is he signed on? Mike Austin, is he signed on? No.
No, it doesn't look like it on the list now.
Good to see you, Tundi. I've spoken to you through Facebook so many times, and I've never seen your face. It's great.
Oh, no, it's good to see you as well. How are you doing?
Yeah. It's lunchtime in Los Angeles, so I got hungry. I had to eat. Everything's great here.
Okay,
Good
cool.
weather. I haven't died from COVID, thank God.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going around at the moment. Hopefully we'll get out of it at some point, but who knows?
Yeah. How is it in London with COVID? Pretty much what's the status? Everybody I heard Dad say 50% of the people will wear a mask and the other 50% won't. And I'd say that's probably the same thing as here.
It's about the same. It's about the same over here as well. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of conspiracy theorists.
About the same in the US as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's crazy. You know, RV is kind of fringy, so it kind of upsets me when I see fringy comments about COVID within our community. It bugs me because, I mean, I don't really see any conspiracy.
Okay.
There's nothing Frenchy about RV. Come on.
Yeah, right. Well, you're right. There shouldn't be.
Shouldn't be. No, shouldn't be. Hello, Lynn.
Hi, how are you? I have family coming in just very soon, so I may drop out, but I'll be recording.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, Lynn. Hi.
Yeah, thanks for the
over in TUC. Hi.
thanks for the chat last week, Lynn. That was the that's become one of the most popular chats so far.
Oh, really? Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We should acknowledge that Lynn is here. We have more RV royalty.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi, Lynn.
Hey,
Hi, Lynn.
Hi, PJ. I can see you.
Did she make it in? I didn't see. Hi, PJ.
He's definitely there.
Yeah.
O'Connor's here. Hey,
Hi,
Paul.
Trudy. Yeah, lots of people. I'm so happy to see Richard and Ton, and yeah, it's good to
Hi,
see all
Tamara.
of you.
How you doing?
Hi.
You all right?
Hello. Sorry I'm late. Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, still nothing at the moment. I'm wondering if there's definitely a time difference problem here in the translation. So has anyone got any good RV projects that they've been working on lately? I know Brett's doing
You want
really
me to
well
call
with ARV
Joe?
at the moment.
I'm gonna call Joe. Hold on.
Excellent. Thank you.
Well, since you're asking, Daz, it's not exactly RV, but I am collecting case studies on animal size. So if anybody's had any like really interesting experiences with animals, email me or message me. And because that used to be a thing that was studied and now it's a little bit less so. So any species, it doesn't have to be a mammal, see anything where you've had some kind of connection or observed something that would, fall in the category of what, please let me know.
Yeah, if you could add your contact details in the chat window, I'll make sure everyone sees them, and I'll add them to the video once we upload that as well, so people can contact you after the fact.
Definitely happened to me. I've had some issues.
Sorry.
Yeah, I've had some
Tamara,
issues. Go ahead.
Just coincidentally, Tamara, I saw on Facebook that Rupert Sheldrake was collecting information that last lucidity before pets or animals died. There was a lot of sort of comments on there that were really beautiful, really interesting to see.
Just recently on his page?
Yeah, I saw it about a day or two ago.
Oh, I'll look over. Okay, thank you. I've been discussing it with the Ryan Institute researchers group. We meet each week, and I didn't know Rupert was doing something right now. I mean, he has in the past, so good to know. Thank you.
So anything else interesting anyone's working on right now?
As far as projects, the Latin American thing, we decided to go 1 year. Yeah. So now we're at week 10. This is week 10 still. And it's pretty cool because the 10 people or 14, however many that are participating, at least 3 or 4 of them are doing way better than I ever did in my first 4 years, I would say. So it's nice. It's cool to see. And we're doing everything in Spanish. So the idea is that when we're done, we have a body of work that we can offer to people that speak Spanish. Today, I'm supposed to be translating Ingo's book, Everybody's Guide to Natural ESP, and it's coming along, but there's a lot of work, with the translation thing. But it's really, really amazing thing to see. And they eat it up. The people in Latin America, there's 200 people at the door that want to come in. There's a real strong interest for it down there. So that's about it.
Excellent. Wow. Yeah. Well, I shared some details with Tunde. I've been working on a project for 2 months now. Some of the people in this group have been working on it. I've been trying to do a test ARV project with ideograms, and it came from an idea we actually had on chat. We were talking about ideograms one night, and it kind of came to me, why don't we use ideograms for ARV? I've run 2 tests right now. And both tests have been really accurate in predicting outcomes in ARV using ideograms. And the most beneficial thing I'm finding from it is it takes the remote viewers literally a minute to do a RV session with 2 or 3 ideograms. And as an analyst, it takes me less than a minute to analyze each RV session as well. So it's super fast to do. And good. But yeah, it's still early yet. It's only on the 2nd trial, just about to do the 3rd. So, we need a good bunch under our belt to see if it's really valid. But it's looking good so far.
couldn't find, did Joe sign on?
Not that I can see.
Okay, let me try another number. I tried the best number to call him on, but I've got some other numbers. Let me try those, okay?
Okay, thank you, Angela.
I can try calling him too.
Yeah, Daz, he's using ideograms for ARV. Has
Yes.
worked in the past, works very well. You know, if a person gets their ideograms right, you know, makes them dependable. It works really well.
Yeah, that's what I'm finding so far. Yeah, 2 trials done really well, and it's as a project manager, when you're analyzing 10 or more RV sessions, it's much easier when you're just doing a page of ideograms per viewer rather than 10 pages of sessions. Yeah, much easier. Let me check my emails here.
Something in that line, Daz, that I know I've mentioned to you before. For the past 6 months, I've been working with some pretty cool programmers and artificial intelligence coders that were working on AI being able to score remote viewing sessions to an actual feedback photo. And so it's basically kind of leveraging machine learning to see if you can figure out when is a session good, when is it bad, and have kind of an independent way to judge session work. So in the future, whether it's unitary or binary, or even just something like, doing ideograms, we're about 2 months out from actually having the first beta version of that available, but I'll probably have more to share with the public later. But yeah, no, there's some cool stuff coming towards the end of the year with AI and RV.
Brett, did you want to share a little bit about how your ARV is doing as well? Because you're doing really well on that at the moment, aren't you? Getting quite high results.
Yeah, I mean, probably at the end of the year, I'll put all the results together at the moment. But I mean, just in the Discord, the remote viewing Discord, I share most of that stuff that I'm doing daily. But I mean, I'm just doing binary ARV with the method that I've kind of refined over the past 3 years. And I have, God, I don't even know now, like thousands of sessions at this point. And accuracy is it's over 70% in that over last 1,000 sessions. So I'm using a lot of ERV too, though, to help out with what to do an ARV session on. And I know a lot of people, some of the people took that spiritual advice. As I said, here's some session work and made a decent amount of money themselves in the remote viewing Discord too with that data. So yeah, it's going really well. Actually, it's going really well. So I'll have probably presentations on that towards the end of the year as well, probably to kind of coincide with the big AI public, free platform that I'm launching too. So more coming soon.
Yeah, great work, Brett. Just letting a few more people in here, guys. Yeah, sorry about the wait, guys. I thought we had the time dang pat on this one. Sometimes this happens though with the translations of time.
So I've got a question. Do you know when the next edition of 8 Martinis is coming out?
I literally started it this week, but because I've been on holiday most this week, it's not fully done. But probably, I would say by the end, because it has to be edited as well. So probably by the end of September, hopefully.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you need articles for it?
Not for this one, because it's unless you have something that none of us have seen before, or something really good on the moon or Mars, because it's moon and Mars only on this one. I have quite a lot of Ingo stuff that's going in, probably about 50, 60 pages of Ingo stuff going in so far. So it's a transcript of one of his moon remote viewing sessions that's not been released yet, and a couple of articles that he wrote, which I think are seminal articles on remote viewing in UFOs for Fate magazine in the mid-90s, and they've given me permission to redo those as well and show those.
Can you give us a heads up?
Should be very interesting. We do have a couple of other articles in there as well, so it should be around about 110 pages in total.
I'm really looking forward to that transcript to for the verbal, the way it's done. I'm excited about that.
It's interesting. I did present it recently to parts of it to the APP group.
Right.
Summary of the data. I think you might have attended that one.
Maybe, but it's Bob, right? And I just adored him. And
yeah, I think
I think
Bob was a catalyst for Ingo doing a lot more UFO ET research than he was interested in the beginning. Because Bob Durant was a very avid UFO researcher, especially after having his own UFO encounter.
While we're waiting, here's a question. Naeem posted a really interesting video on drawing and on the Discord channel, and he has he's a visual artist and he has a unique take on it. And I suggested to him that if you were interested, Daz, he could do a Daz chat on that, and Deborah and I could do a presentation on our chapter, which has tons of examples of everybody in the communities who submitted stuff that we used sessions, and also sort of categorizing the different kinds of drawings. And Naeem has a whole theory about that too. So would you be up for that?
Yeah, sounds really interesting.
I think it would. Yeah, it hasn't really been covered the way he does, and also the way we do. So that would be good. Okay.
Yeah, we'll have to schedule one in.
Hey, John. Just wanted to say that it's your fault in a good way. I'm expecting that book to come into my mail, and I'm counting the days so that it's delivered. But really looking forward for it.
I didn't catch all of that, but I take it you ordered the book and it's going to come soon.
Absolutely.
Like
I could not take a book on the digital format. It's not the same thing. I really love them physical, and when that was published, I said needs to be here as soon as possible.
You have to have strong hands to hold it, though. It's bigger than Jeff Mishlov's book, which is outsized. But yeah, we're at 40,000 now in sales on Amazon. We're in the top 40,000. So keep up the purchases. We like that.
Absolutely.
That's wonderful. That's great, John.
It's not too bad. Yeah, because my other book's like in the top 400,000. So this one is way up there.
How many pages is it, John?
About 724.
Wow. Impressive.
Hey, Mark.
Now, Dad, if Joe shows up at 9 tonight, his time, will you be here?
I doubt that very much. I do like to stay online for a long time, but that might be a little bit too far even for me.
Daz does the crypto viewing debriefs. We do them. It's like afternoon my time. It's like Daz gets up at 3 a.m. and does like long deep.
Boy, I'd be doing ZRV at 3 a.m.
Yeah, I gotta hand it to you, Daz. We should change some of those times at least once or twice a month for you. Make the other people stay up late.
You know, your dedication over the years has been really awesome, Dad. Thank you.
Yeah, that's okay. It's all good fun, and it's great to see you all here this evening. It's a fantastic group of people. Hopefully, we'll have and we are sharing lots as it is. So it's great just to see everyone along. And Dick, our latest material has been a hot topic of conversation on the Reddit forum. I have to be honest.
Oh man, it is what it is. We just put it out, and we're not trying to say the sky is falling, but we all got that. So we'll see what happens. It could be something like they blow up an arms depot in Afghanistan. That would be a big bomb that would make a mushroom cloud.
Yeah, that's what we were talking. That's what we were just discussing. I wonder if because we got a lot of people here and they might not know what we're talking about. If we could give them a little overview of what we kind of came across.
Let me do a screen share and I'll show you. So every month at Crypto Viewing, we do a look ahead of what we think the top news is going to be for the upcoming month. And we have some pretty good success. So we publish it for our subscribers, and then we go ahead and watch. So we were doing the debrief this week, and I came on, and the other viewers were chatting. They were all going, "Oh my God, you saw that?" "Yeah, I saw that." And I said, "What are you talking about?" And they said, "The mushroom cloud." Let me do a screen share. And so that on the left is what Daz saw. The one down here on the bottom is Edward Reardon, and this is the one I saw. And it wasn't just that we saw that, it just came at us. Well, Daz, you tell how strong it was for you.
Yeah, well, yeah, really strong for me. I mean, I did 2 sessions on it, and in the first one, I thought, what the heck is this? I don't usually get visuals like this, and something so destructive and so big, and and it was so negative the entire RV session. So I pretty much binned it, and then came back to it 3 days later, thinking, right, here I am going to look at the news. I'm going to get all the great news for September, and bang, the second session, just all it was this dark, dooming, gloomy kind of mushroom cloudy type event.
Edward Reardon was in the shower getting ready to do a session, closed his eyes and saw his. I do my targets as kind of an ERV. Normally I do it straight paper and pen, but the news events I do more ERV. So I targeted NFE, like near future event 9-21, and I do a cool down. I'm listening to Theta, and it takes me 10-15 minutes to get into it, and images start popping up, and I make notes and I get ideas. This one, I closed my eyes and boom, I saw the mushroom cloud. So maybe somebody was running an experiment trying to see if they could, like, let's make them all see a mushroom cloud. Let's hijack their session. Or maybe there will be something in the Middle East where they blow up an arms depot, or maybe something else. We'll wait and see. I give this a 3-month shelf life. So.
And what was the tasking? What are we talking about?
We are trying to, every month we do, these are the top news stories that we're going to do. So top news stories for the coming month. And I'll show you some of the, Edward Reardon had an amazing, in June,
hey, how you doing?
July, he said there's going to be a Katrina-like event on the Gulf Coast where big water event, power out, alligators in the streets attacking people, and sweltering weather, and it was exactly.
When he left, he said, "Shorty, when I left, it was fine." I said, "When I left, I had
Catherine, somebody's got to mute her."
So, yeah, so we do. Where's my space station here? Hang on.
Can you all talk about any other impressions that you got surrounding that?
Well, no, we just kind of like went, oh, a mushroom cloud. And it was bowled us over that we just drew it and kind of went, oh, I don't want to get into that. Let me show you some of the other examples that we've done. A month ago, I don't want to make this about me. We're waiting for somebody, but since we were talking about the mushroom cloud, we published an archaeological event that I thought was going to make news with some bones. And I said, surprising findings or admission of hidden history, new human history. And they came out with they found a group of humans previously unknown.
Yeah, so that was fascinating.
Yeah. And then, COVID stuff in the streets, we predicted that, and water events. So we have some success doing the weekly events, but that's what we all saw. So we don't really want to, we kind of want to tone that down. Like, okay, could be right, could be wrong. Don't everybody go to a fallout shelter. It is what it is. Yeah. We just gather the data and present it.
But we should add that Farsight, that put out their weekly, their monthly news as well, they also had similar
I saw that
type of things, events in their monthly data as well. I don't know what all this means, but as Dick said, yeah, it could just be a smaller explosion than the data is indicating, to be honest. Pablo, you got your hand up? Do you wanna ask something or share something while we're waiting?
Yeah. On that topic, when I saw that the video from Crypto Union, got me thinking. I'm not sure if you've heard that sometimes many people start like sensing, having dreams, and so on at the same time regarding something similar, like an ominous sentiment or something like that. So before I saw that video, I had conversations with some people around, different countries, India, Philippines, so on, kind of feeling that overwhelmed. When I first saw the session, I was a little bit worried. I live in a place where we have over 30 volcanoes, more than 10 active all the time. So then I came up into some news that in North Korea restarted their nuclear program, and it came to my mind. Those guys blew up an entire mountain last time when they were testing, and it failed, right? So it makes sense that at the same time, many things are going on around that could match that. There's also another big volcano active in the South Pacific that could burst out at any moment. I'm just crossing my fingers it's not Yellowstone or the one south to Italy. That's everything I want. But I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, thanks for that. I mean, we're hoping it's something smaller. We were just, to be honest, we were just shocked because although we sometimes get some crossover in our news events, we don't usually get all the viewers getting it. And even Dennis, the host of the show, who's training in RV, he was doing, he does the monthly news behind the scenes, and he had the same data in his RV as well. So it was just a big shock to all of us at the time, and we have to balance that with what we put out. Yeah, go for it.
Sorry, I've got a little bit of delay. So thinking about this, were you doing any, like forecasting RV when 9/11 happened? Like, something similar that many viewers got, like something was going to happen with the planes or towers or something like that?
I wasn't back then. I did see that Farsight did some work, and they published them. And I think Prue's TDS people did some a year or so before as well, and had some planes hitting buildings in the New York area.
We at Hawaii Remote Viewers Guild at that date, we had a Monday class. So we had 12 viewers that would go have a class and work a target every Monday night. And it was almost always a validation target. So Monday, September 10th, 2001, we had class and we were given a blind target. It was in an envelope in front of the room and we all worked it. And we all thought, wow, we missed this one, because the target was Timothy Leary in a flotation tank. And I think maybe one person had a guy in water, but basically it seemed like the whole class was off. And we just remember that, like, oh, we didn't, that was just a difficult target, like a guy in a box of water, and nobody got those gestalts. So the archivist, Sita Siri, gathered up all our data, and then 9/11 happened. And she would file all our work. So about a week later, she was filing the work, and she looked through it, and she went, oh my God, all the viewers drew 9/11. I drew a plane hitting a building. We had twin towers smoking, people jumping, and the whole thing was laid out. And we did the target 7 at night, 8. So it would have been about 8-9 hours before the events happened. And we picked it up. She did a presentation on that. I should dig that out sometime. But yeah, it did. So here's the question Daz and I were considering with some of our big boom. The 20th anniversary of 9/11 is this month. Are they going to be replaying all that, and that will be in the consciousness, and that will be there will be news presented of that type of stuff. So
it'll be a miracle if something else doesn't happen this year on that date, given all the other stuff going on.
Well, we'll see.
Mhm. Daz mentioned TDS, transdimensional systems, and Prudence Calabrese, who was the leader there, the teacher, she did claim that she drew the Twin Towers and a plane hitting them, and John Vivanco, second in command, confirmed that. I've never seen it, and Prue didn't always tell 100% accurate, so I would have to see it, but John is pretty trustworthy. Anyway, so she was very psychic, and it's very possible that she did do that.
Yeah, as Dick was saying, we were kind of theorizing that maybe because it's September and it might be in the news a lot, you know, because it's the 20th anniversary, that we might have been picking up with our sessions on it being one of the top news stories being in the news a lot, and that's why we were getting the mushroom cloud effect. So I think that's something valid that we should probably consider with that data.
Thank you for sharing.
Strangely, I found myself in Hawaii during this month, I guess, at some point, and but I don't know what it pertained to. I don't know if it was an event there, a volcano, or it seemed to be some kind of supply container ship thing, and a big explosion apparently. So I guess we'll see.
The volcano on the Big Island could be getting ready to go. We're having earthquake swarms over there, so that might be. And supply is always a concern here because there's not much produced here. Everything's got to come in by boat. That's always an issue.
Interesting.
Another one that sticks in my mind is 1996, I was just getting into remote viewing, and this involves New York City and an explosion is why I'm mentioning it. And the Farsight Institute predicted there would be a nuclear explosion in New York City. My son was going to college, a new college in New York City at the time, and I did not know anything about Farsight, so I tried to find out what I could, looked around. This was 1996 or 97, I think. And I couldn't find out much, but I really wasn't impressed with what I found. So my son was totally not into remote viewing or anything like it. So I didn't warn him. Fortunately, they were wrong. And I'm very, suspicious of predictions from remote viewers on events like that ever since. So I don't know, crypto viewing, you guys may be doing some good stuff. I've checked out some of Daz's, and he knows it's in the book, my evaluation of some of that. Anyway, so that's just another story.
Yeah, as I said to people, I've charted my my monthly news predictions, and I'm only 65% accurate on my news predictions on a monthly basis. So, you know, you have to take that into consideration.
Yeah.
Daz, are those predictions based on a certain regional location for the month?
No, because in my news sessions itself, and I vary this month on month. I sometimes look at the global top news stories, and sometimes look at centric ones. So sometimes I look at the top US stories, sometimes the top Europe ones, sometimes the top UK. I don't know what guides me in making those decisions. I just look at all around really. And then I'm quite harsh in my analysis of all that. I literally only give myself the monthly window of the 30 plus days, and I also only allow myself a 2-minute window to look for the top corresponding news sources on Google News. And if I don't find it in that 2-minute window, then I just mark it as a possibility, but not a hit kind of thing. So that's why I get the 65% result.
Okay.
Daz, I still think they have longer than a 30-day shelf life. There's no cutoff in consciousness between August 31st and September 1st. I think it's just near future. It's like 3. Hey, Daz, remember when we recently a bunch of us said there was going to be some issue with the Queen making news?
Yes. Yeah.
And they didn't just come out today. They leaked the in the event of her death, the plan. I
did see that in the news.
Over there.
Her death plans have been leaked, so all the things that are going to happen in order were leaked to the press today.
Yeah, but we had all the remote viewers had stuff relating to the Queen. So It's an interesting, Daz, here's something else. I'll can't say too much about this. When you and I were working with Courtney and we were doing, what was Courtney calling it? We were doing top news events.
Time Cross, was it?
Time Cross. Yeah. We were doing Time Cross. What was this? Like 4 years ago, 5 years ago? It's been a while. There was one that we did that we didn't publish yet. You and I mailed it to Courtney, and Courtney got a email from somebody in military intelligence and said, can you give us more information on this? And Courtney got a hold of, you remember this? Did we talk to you about that? We didn't want to say too much about it, but
not sure I do. No.
Okay. I know somebody that can validate email. My brother-in-law was working with a clearance, and I gave him the email address. He said that's a real email address of somebody. I traced it to there with military intelligence. So they were watching our work, and they communicated with Courtney. So I bet that our mushroom cloud stuff is being well analyzed right now. Maybe it could be prevented. Now that would be good. Yeah. So that's another possibility. So,
well, the way the NSA track everything, including these Zoom chats, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yep.
We can tell you the gum that you're chewing at any given time. Unfortunately, we can't tell you that an entire country is about to be overthrown under our nose.
Well,
interesting times.
That's part of a bigger plan. I'm going to do a YouTube video on that when we're done with this. I'm just writing it right now of what, yeah, that didn't surprise the real people that are in charge of things.
Well, sorry guys about this. I'm still getting no response from Joe, and I think several people here have tried to phone him as well, and there's no response on the phones from him.
Yeah, but if we can kill 7 or 8 more minutes, then just in case he messed up the time zone.
Yeah.
I tried calling 3 different numbers, and I couldn't get anything.
Yeah.
No answer on either one.
Let's all close our eyes and set an intention for him to be here.
Whenever you were talking about the remote viewing that you all did, where you were getting an event that was going to happen and it looked like a mushroom cloud.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I had lunch with John Peterson yesterday, and I don't know if you all know who John Peterson is, but he's a futurist, and he owns the Arlington Institute, and he was been affiliated with the U.S. military Navy for a long time. He was up for Secretary of Navy twice. He noticed the viewing on that, so he's watching it to see if anything happens. I just thought I'd let you know.
Wow. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Excellent. We'll see what comes out on that one.
Interesting person.
He watches. He follows the crypto viewing.
Right.
It's like, Daz, I think you feel probably the same way I do. It's like, oh man, I don't know if I want to put that. I don't want to have my name associated. Like, do we really want to publish this?
I did ask that at the time. I was like, oh. And to be honest, we had some quite bad kind of predictive stuff before the whole COVID thing came out, that we were getting it for months that we didn't really know what to do with as well. And we were having quite a lot of meetings saying, well, what do we do with all this information? It looks like really grim stuff's going. There's no people on the streets. There's no any sports events. We couldn't work out why we were looking at sports events a year ahead and we couldn't see anyone at sports events. But with those, we were, I don't think we released a lot of that stuff either.
Yeah, I remember those debriefs when we were looking at like the floral parade in Hawaii, a sport event,
Macy's parade, and
the parade in New York, and we didn't see anything, and we were going, come on, we're just off. This how would they cancel all these things? We didn't seem possible to us.
You say, I'm looking at this parade, but there are no life forms. Something's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
I
How many, so
wonder,
we
I
have a
wonder
good
if,
cross section of remote
I wonder
viewers.
if-
Here. How many people in the remote viewing community are involved with or interested in cryptocurrencies? I'm just curious. You all following cryptos?
Yeah.
I am.
Is anybody following Meta One?
And some of you have
We
no
run
interest?
crypto targets on the Discord. We actually have a channel dedicated to it called Financial Perception. Right now, we're really just standing solo.
Futures. So I got some good activity on that channel. We should get some people in here. I can put out the invite.
Yeah. If you can put a link to the Reddit channels and the Discord channels in the chat window for everyone, that'd be great.
An invite link to
second.
the Discord has been shared already. I can paste it again in a minute.
I'll get it right
Carl,
now.
Carl, did you want to ask a question?
No, I haven't got my hat. Well, there was one thing I wanted to say. You know, Angela could probably answer Don's question about ERV because she's got a lot of it in that. If we could, where's Angela? She's disappeared now.
Yeah, she might be on. She might be trying the phone again, I guess.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask if Gail Cusick, who's here, would be willing to say something about what she and her group have been up to lately. Gail?
Hey,
you
John.
here?
I am here. I don't have any projects to talk about right now,
Oh, no. Well, I tried. Okay.
but thank you.
All right.
Pablo, go ahead. You've got something you want to share or ask?
Yeah, I would like to ask something, Dick, if he's all right with that, just if it's
Sure.
possible. But long time ago, and practically would say in a good way, it's your fault. I ended up, checking Daz's site. I was researching a little bit on Hawaiian style RV and found that with the little information I had that there's a part that was similar to RV or borrowed from ERV techniques that was used, to initialize the contact with the target. So I'm not sure if I got it wrong, but is it possible for you to share anything on that?
Yeah, the method I use, it's designed to take you from an alert beta state to a theta state. So when you start the procedure, you're in a completely alert, conscious beta state, and in that state, your target contact is limited to a second and a half. You can't anything past a second and a half is imagination. So you begin by writing the target ID, and the first thing we do is we look at a place we call Blackboard for a second and a half and draw any impressions, anything that comes to us, and very quickly you're doing it with a cadence that is very, very fast. Write the word ideogram, page run, your name, colon, draw a line, do the thing, boom, boom. And then you make ideograms. So you're probing ideograms for low-level data. Is it simplex or complex? Is it moving or is it at rest, static or dynamic? So you're in that rapid fire, completely conscious state. And then we're probing the ideograms and we're looking for a quick visual. And then you want to know the sounds and the smells and tastes, the temperatures and the textures. So you're in that alert, rapid fire state of mind. And in about 15 minutes into that, it's like when you're reading a book, you get caught up in the data. So now you're getting a dwell time where you're able to have a little more target contact, and you've gone from beta alert consciousness to alpha consciousness. It's that daydreaming. It's like you're kind of aware of drawing the stuff and being there, but half the time the target is coming to you. So we do about 20 pages, S1 through S4. And then at S5, we're trained to put down the pen, do a little thing where we block off our visual optic nerve, do a breathing exercise that brings you to a complete stop, and that's a gateway to ERV. So the HRVG method is meant to begin on that alert, conscious, but there's no time in the session where you have a moment to sit there and ponder and think about this or that while you have your pen in your hand and you're doing that transition to the other brain state. And then you're supposed to be monitored. I'm not trying to give a whole course in the methodology, but it does employ ERV, and that's called S5 Morpheus or S5 monitored. And when you get to that point, you give all of your 20 pages to a monitor, and the monitor is looking at your work, and you're doing a cool down thing where you're doing a breathing, a visualization exercises that drives you to that hypnagogic state. And then the monitor recites the target ID and then asks you very simple questions about your target. So it encompasses all the brain states, a full session. So long-winded answer. Sorry to take up so much time.
Thank you very much for sharing. That's really enlightening.
I wanted to add something about ERV. That's what we're talking about, right? ERV?
Yeah. Yeah.
Two things. One is that Angela Thompson-Smith teaches a rather loose version of ERV. I haven't taken that. But what I did take was John Herlofsky's David Morehouse type ERV, which is highly structured, and he may still be giving that. And in fact, you sort of cram in like sardines into a room, and that's considered an important part of the method. And then you have a cool down that you listen to, and Morehouse does a really good cool down for 20 minutes or so. And then you sort of go through these stages. They have these mental constructs that you build, almost like the Stargate movie, where there's a thing that you go through. And allegedly you can get and see other people there with you. I never got to that stage, but John Herlofsky claims he has and that you can. It was quite an interesting course. I didn't find it was particularly suitable for me compared to TDRV, but just as in the unit, some people preferred ERV and some people did not, like Mel Riley liked ERV a lot, I understand. Anyway, that's just another thing to add to the thing about ERV.
Did you train with Morehouse?
I did not know.
Oh. I've always been impressed with his students. Hitomi was trained by Morehouse.
So Rick and also Sandra Hilliard also went to Morehouse after previous training. Yeah, and they're both good viewers too.
Yeah, he's one guy. I've never talked to him. I'd like to talk to him. I have great respect for him.
I'm trying to arrange for him to come on and do a chat. I'm talking to some of his people right now, so hopefully we might be able to get that going sometime in the near future.
Yeah, I also went through Morehouse's training for ERV, and it's actually really good. I mixed it between the it's the Morehouse stuff along with the Gateway program, which is also, it's very similar, but some of the results I've seen from other people have gone through it, and some of the results I've gotten just from going through that training have been really good. One of the things that I'm working on just as a side project, I mean, so my full focus is using that particular method for seeing the visual of the graph of a market in the ERV session through that structure. And I've had actually some pretty decent results, as well as seeing very vivid, detailed numbers and dates as well. So it's something I've only done a little bit of, but I've had some tremendous hits.
Can you look at a graph of a crypto target? Have you tried that?
I have, yeah. No, my biggest win in crypto was seeing a graph of Bitcoin about in 2019 before the big COVID rug pull. And I got the exact date where the high would be before that, which was February 13th.
Let's get you working with crypto viewing. You should get no,
yeah,
that's a good, if you can do that, and I believe you can, that's a good skill.
Yeah, it's definitely something I need to do more practice on, but it's
Daz is quite good at that. A lot of Daz's graphs have come out. Daz was doing graphs like 2 years ago, I think, some years, Daz, and I was, you'd present them, and I kind of, whatever. And then we looked 2 years later and like, wow, you were right.
Yeah, we have some of Daz's graphs in our book where he started experimenting, and he's not the only one. Julia Mossbridge And John Vivanco also did some experiments with simple, sort of trying to draw the graphs. And Deborah herself, and had a client too, and in fact, Julia Mossbridge called it wowsing, W-O-W-S-I-N-G. Her husband gave it that name because I guess she drew a W or something like that, or it's very impressive and it's very quick. So it's almost like simultaneously, several people around the world started doing this same method. So it certainly has a lot of promise too.
I think so. Yeah, yeah. And Niam's getting some great stuff at the moment. He's doing, if I'm correct on this, daily charting of Bitcoin movements, which are quite accurate.
Yeah, I've been getting some good results. That got the high dates, a couple of high dates and low dates, like the highest day of the month, the lowest day of the month.
Maybe we can get you to put up an example to show the guys.
Yeah, sure. Let me get something.
And Niam, we haven't talked about how you're doing it in the process. Are you doing the entire month, day by day, ahead of the month?
Yeah. So at near the end of the month, I'm doing each day up, down, or no change, and then kind of like dowsing for the highs and lows throughout the month.
Yep.
He was. Let me share this. Can I do that?
Yeah. Go ahead. You should be able to share screen. Okay.
All right.
Here, give you a small water, okay?
Share my desktop here. So this was for July. I think so. Yeah, this was in July. So like the up and down arrows were my prediction, my remote viewing of whether the daily movement would be up or down, and then the candles are the actual what actually happened. And I had here in week 3, I had these 3 days here where I said it would be the monthly low, and that was the monthly low. And I just noticed that there's moments where it's like, when you get on Signal and you kind of can feel kind of like that, the information's coming through. It's like certain parts where it's like the uptick here near the end of the month. It's like I find there's a lot of consistent hits. It'll be like a cluster of hits, you know what I mean? So still trying to like kind of get better at the high and low thing. It's like some month I hit the high, some month I hit the low, but it's like I haven't got both at once. So I'm just working on it. Might be that it's maybe just easier to tell when there's a lot of action as opposed to the actual top or the actual bottom. But yeah, I'm working on like a template for that.
Let me tell y'all something about Naeem. Naeem just did a target for me. I can't disclose yet. Daz has still got to do a little bit more on it. It is one of the most, it is going to rock your world. I've seen so many thousands of remote viewing sessions, and Naeem did something on a really significant target that is, I may not put that out, Naeem, until first week of October, because we want to do a real presentation on it. But you guys stand by for Naeem did one of the classic sessions in remote viewing. I can't say anything more, but
you're such a tease.
It's I'll be teasing it. You'll hear about it in about 4 weeks. I want to Naeem, I got to interview you about that, and then we'll but it's going to be a good one. Naeem is one of the up and coming talents. I was, we've all remote viewed, and we all get that rush of, you have a target ID and you work it blind, you get the feedback and look at your data and you go, wow, how did I do that? That's cool. But what's even is impressive to me is when you task a target, and you task a target that like, well, could viewers get this, and that you're the only person in the world that knows what that target is. And that you've kept it as your own little secret, and you give out the target ID. And then Naeem sends me a session And I go, God, did he hack my computer? Or like Naeem, send me a little bit more about that. And then just, God, it's like, wow, this not only works, it really friggin' works. So
Wow.
that's going to be a fun one. We'll probably have a whole discussion on this one.
I had a friend, he sent me a target, and I drew it like exactly, and he didn't really know much about remote viewing, and he actually thought I hacked his computer. Like, he was convinced that that's the only way I could have done that. So it's funny.
Come on, Dick, you got to share that with us now. Can't leave us in limbo like that.
I want Daz to be part of the presentation, and I need a little more data from Daz. I shouldn't have said anything about it, but it's you will all like it. Yeah, you'll all like it. It was Naeem, you did a good job on that one. And Naeem, I heard you did a good job on the current op target for crypto viewing too. You smoked me on it. So I need to do some more work. I gotta on my work.
Since we're talking about Naeem, would you be willing to say something about that video that you put up on drawing, and if that's going to be available on YouTube or someplace?
Yeah, it's on my YouTube channel. I did like a little presentation on art, like stages of development in art in children, and kind of like the parallels in remote viewing, drawing, and art. And the whole presentation is kind of about taking remote viewing visuals and the arts, the drawing and remote viewing towards a greater state of realism, because like in child's art development, if they can't reach a certain state of realism, then they stop developing it. They give up on it. It's not interesting anymore. So the kind of like the parallels I'm drawing in that presentation is like, for the further development of remote viewing, the art has to move more towards a realism perspective than a completely symbolic type of thing. So yeah, it's on my YouTube. I'll put a link in the description there.
Naeem, pull up the one you just did on our debrief of the people carrying people through the floodwater. You know that one? The people carrying people on their back. I think all remote viewers should take art lessons. For me, a big thing that I did was like, I looked up, how do you draw dimension? Like if you see a city, how do you correctly make the buildings look real? Or the human body, how do you draw a human face? You know, you can go online and on YouTube, see, oh, how do you make the oval? Where do you place the eyes? Where does the nose? There's a certain symmetry, and you know, like 1/3 of the way down is the lips. If you learn how to draw a human face, that's going to help your remote viewing. If things like, could you draw two people carrying someone on their backs? And Naeem's going to put that up. I remember when you presented that, like you practiced that, Naeem. Here's his sketch. Yeah. So that has more impact to me. And when you see a news story where it looks like that, like you had to put some thought into that, right, Naeem? I can't, you're muted.
Yeah. Like once you see something, like you see the shape of someone's body, like you can immediately feel it yourself. You know what I mean? You can easily like put yourself in their shoes. So it's like you see it, but then drawing it is the next challenge. Because when you try and draw human forms, like unless you train yourself, you're gonna end up drawing it wrong. You know what I mean? So it's like you kind of have to I usually like act it out myself, kind of put my body in that position to bring into my mind how it would look. So it gets kind of complicated, but
yeah,
it kind of brings more information.
I just I took a doodling class recently that helped a lot because I like no artistic. So even that on YouTube, there's tons of doodling, and they'll, they show the human form, all those things, and just the little sketches that you can make that way makes it so simple. So that might help people a lot too.
Yeah, I remember doing a target one time for homework target, and I got this real brief visual of like this children climbing a hill, and I saw it for like 2 seconds, and then I went, oh, how do I draw that? And I was looking in the mirror, like how to put your arms and legs. And I was watching myself to recreate what I'd seen. And the target was Monkey Island. It was some little place where monkeys were, and they were climbing this thing. So I had seen it, but if you look at something for 2 seconds, to be able to get that ability to capture that visual and then take it to paper, it really helps if you, train. Like, what does, I came awareness on target, and I was underneath an airplane. I was under the hull, and the wings were here. Like, how the hell do you draw that? So I really am big on just go to YouTube and say how to draw,
Another facet of this is that, and Naeem raises this, is that, Ingo in natural ESP talks about picto language, that there's a natural language that people of all cultures use to draw, and they're simple shapes and so forth. And he gives lots of examples of that from Mental Radio and other places. And Naeem is saying, look, maybe we can do a lot better than that. Maybe we can get realistic drawings. And in fact, unless we do, we're not going to get into the places in the society that we really want to. So there's this about drawing on the right side of the brain and other ways to increase one's ability. You could still get, important information from simple drawings. I'm a terrible artist, and I was always told in TDS that those are the most valuable parts of my sessions. But still, I think Naeem has a great point that we should try to take classes or whatever to increase our ability to draw, for sure.
When I did that doodle class, I guess it was, it just ended, and it was only 3 weeks, so it's real fresh in my mind. But what really helped was just, there was like a basic alphabet of, there's an arc, and there's a circle, and there's an oval, and there's a rectangle. And it was like, oh, I never thought about, like, everything can be drawn from those shapes. And if you're not a natural artist, that's not such an obvious thing. It's like, oh, there's a little alphabet to this drawing thing. And, to go from there, I thought it was really helpful. So if anybody else just can't draw.
My dad was an art teacher, and he taught art, I don't know, 30, 40 years. Of course, he's still painting. And, but I'll say it a million times before, and even Yam told me this too, and he was right, but I'd kind of forgotten it. Go get Betty Edwards' drawing course. It's like $12 US, and you can get the video, and it's excellent. And this really answers Flying Hawaiian, Mr. Aguirre's question. When you see it in your mind, how can you get that thing on it? So if you do get a course for $12, and I'm not making money off of it, make one of these at home. It's basically just a letter size piece of paper, and then I've put paper around it, framed it, and then you can't see it on the video, but there's a black line that crosses like this. You're gonna need one of these. But I promise you, because I've seen it in my own drawing, I used to draw like Basquiat, and of course I love him, he's an amazing guy, but he was into the childlike style. And now I can draw realistic from whatever you're looking at, because of course, with these things, you practice actually looking at 3D and pulling stuff out. So if you mix that.
Wait, how do you use that? You look at something and you.
First,
so it's like you're going to draw the dimensions of the room, the guitar behind you, and the door. You turn around and you put the frame.
Here, I'll show you. I'll show you this quick. But you have to take the course, Dick. It's only an hour. You'll love it.
Okay. Yeah, I do. This is good advice.
So
I really
watch this. I'm looking at something. I got my felt marker. I got my glass, and I just outline it like that. So then once I got the outline, then I have my outline here and I can put it on paper, but that's only one of the exercises. She's got like 6. And when you practice them, your drawing goes right through the roof and you can pull things out from your head or things you actually see.
What's that called again?
Drawing from the right side of the brain. I put the thing there. I'll send it to
Oh,
you.
I had that book.
It's the video. You got to get the video course.
Okay.
And it comes with stuff you can, like this I made. But if you got cash, because I know you got Bitcoin and you're in Hawaii, buy the toolkit. Get them to send you the toolkit. Because then when you got it, you can just fly right off and take it without having to modify stuff at home.
And just as a side note there, when I started learning formally RV, the teacher I had, he didn't start with RV. His first sessions were actually drawing, and he used exercises from these books. So he got all the 5 of us that were in that training team, doing exercises progressively. And he was basically like teaching us how to perceive, how to express what we were perceiving, right? Once we finished that part and he gave feedback and we did some tweaking and practicing, then is when we started with actual RV. And then I teach the same RV lessons for probably 1.5 years. And I had a control group, one that went through that training, previous training or pre-training, and the ones that did. And the difference was really good. The ones that went through that, it was amazing what they were doing. And the other ones were struggling a little bit with how to express data. They were receiving it, but they were having a hard time like expressing it. And I'm talking a bunch of engineers like me that could at the beginning only draw figure sticks and try to say, let's think this rectangle is a circle because I can't draw it any better. But it really works.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So good.
That's really interesting. That's good data. Thank you.
Could I share my
Yeah,
screen?
I think remote viewers should be taught to draw.
Could I share my screen for a sec?
Yeah, go for it.
I'll just show like a couple slides from that video I was talking about. And this is just kind of ties in with the learning how to draw. Learning like to learn how to draw, really what you're doing is you're learning how to know what to look for when you're going to draw, right? So like we all see the same thing. Like we're all looking at a person, we all see the person. But when you go to draw the person, that's when all the results vary, right? Some people won't be able to draw the person, some people will. So really learning how to draw is learning how to look for certain things in an image, and you're drawing those things. You're kind of like breaking down the image into different layers or parts. And so this is like, these are the things that you look for, like when you're drawing an image, like contour drawings. That's like a line that's shared by 2 different things. So like when you're looking at something in your regular state of consciousness, it's like I'm looking at the computer screen. The air around the computer screen is not considered a thing. You know what I mean? That's just air, that's just space. But when you're drawing, the space around something is the border. It's shared with the space around it. So if you mess up the line on one side, it's going to mess up another object that's tied to it. And your mind has a name for each object. So like the image on the bottom left, it's like students sitting at a desk. It's like if you tried to draw that without looking for the contour lines, it's going to be really, really hard and complicated.
You're drawing.
Yeah, you probably won't be able to do it. Or drawing your hand, like they say, drawing your hand is the hardest thing. That's because it has all these organic shapes and nothing's really, it's hard to like latch onto anything because you have a symbol in your mind for what a hand looks like, right? A hand has 5 fingers. It has to be like this. The thumb looks like this. But when you're actually seeing something in 3 dimensions from a different perspective, it like foreshortening and stuff like that, it's hard to draw those without breaking it down into these pieces. So it's like contour drawings, negative spaces and positive forms. So like you wouldn't go in here trying to draw this goat or this ram by saying, now it's time to draw the horn. Now it's time to draw the nose. You would actually have to look at it as just this outline, this positive form and a negative space. So and then kind of like what Dick was talking about earlier, like seeing things in perspective, like how it actually looks if you were seeing it in real life. So lights and shadows, these are the things that you look for when you're drawing to make something look realistic. And so once you realize that, it's like in remote viewing, here's some like remote viewing stuff that I've done. It's like, these are the things you see in remote viewing. Like when I'm probing for visuals, it's like I'm seeing negative spaces and positive forms. Like that's a very common thing. You see like an outline of someone. You see contour. Sometimes I see a contour drawing that's like a very detailed bunch of lines that you can't really tell what it is until you draw it out, and then you're kind of like, oh, that kind of looks like something. So like here's some examples of contour drawings and negative spaces and positive forms in remote viewing. And some stuff here on like perspective, seeing things in perspective, depth, you know, a point of view. Like once you see something, now you got to learn how to draw it. So it's like, there's like always another challenge. So like, even once you get a visual now, if you can't draw it, if you can't see it for what it is, be able to break it down, kind of like in those stages I was talking about, and then draw it, it's like a whole nother challenge again. So yeah, it's important that, you know, learning how to see and at the same time learning how to draw is important for, you know, remote viewing to kind of like take it to a level where it's like, people won't be able to do the whole multiple interpretation thing or say it's vague, you know what I mean? Once we have more things like that, it'll kind of just be self-evident, you know what I mean? So I feel like that's what we need to like strive for in the long run.
Yeah, that knowing the basics, like I remember learning about the vanishing point when you're drawing perspectives, like just knowing that you draw a horizon, every line is going to go to that vanishing point and your buildings will look like, oh God, I never learned that in school. But then there's times when you just let go, where there's times when you have to just let your hand go. And I'll give you an example of one. This is not a good drawing, but I saw that guy. I mean, that you could pretty much pick him out of a lineup with that. And that was not drawing skill that did that. That was letting my subconscious guide the hand. So it's a fine line between both. But yeah, the more drawing skills you have, the better you're going to do, I think.
Thanks, guys, for sharing those. We've had some hands up for a while. I just want to say it doesn't look like Joe's going to come now. I've sent various emails and we're way past what would be a time difference, and people have tried to phone as well. So we can only hope that, you know, he's fine and he's just forgotten or something strange has happened there. But so, yeah, we'll carry on anyway, because we're sharing some really great information here. So, yeah, I just want to say sorry for this, everyone. We'll try and arrange it for another date, but we'll carry on sharing. And I know Carl's had his hand up for a long time. Sorry, Carl.
No, of course. Thanks very much, Daz. I feel like I'm intruding on a bunch of friends, so thanks for tolerating somebody that doesn't know how to remote view or just trying to figure this out. So the one thing that I've actually, Brett, I tried some of Brett's one of Brett's videos, and I had one experience that I thought was just really profound, and it was really unique. And I think my first question as a novice is to ask if there's a difference between two-person remote viewing and just being on your own. I don't feel like I've had success on my own, but I feel like, at least in that video that I had with on Brett's channel, it was an amazing experience, like kind of transformative. But I don't know how to go back to that kind of state. So two-person versus one person being on your own, is there a difference? Is it one better?
Sorry, what do you mean by two-person? Do you mean having a monitor to see you through the process, or do you mean two people viewing the same target?
Like a person walking you through the process, asking, kind of like to walk you through what, you know, to not get stuck, to I just remember watching some of the Russell Targ videos, and how he would guide his viewers. Is that it? Doesn't seem like that's this though.
No, it is. It is monitors. I mean, it started out using monitors, and I think it's very useful. So, but people do it both ways.